Hello everyone and welcome. Today we will talk about one-to-many bidirectional relations. Hope you have seen my previous video on one-to-many unidirectional relations. I'll leave the links to the repository below. You can access the source code from GitHub. We will define the user entity with the one-to-many annotation. We'll have coding exercises with the read operation. We'll also use @transient annotation in conjunction with the read operation. We'll also explore @JsonIgnore. Now let us start by modeling the entities. Here you have the user and the role entities. In the user you have the ID, first name, last name, email, and here you can see it's a one-to-many annotation that we are using. One role and many users. So the relation is we'll have the role here and here we'll have the users defined here. So this all about the entities. Now let us see how it will be represented in the database. We can see we'll get a foreign key, role ID, and in role we'll be defining the list of users. Here no mapping tables are created, only the role ID, that will be the foreign key in the users table. Now coming to one-to-many relation bidirectional, here the role entity will be having a definition of private list, user, users, and the user entity will be defining private, role, and role. So this is the difference from the previous video. Here we can navigate from both the user and the role table. Now defining the role entity, you can see here nothing much has changed, only the map by role has come in. So this will give the representation of the role ID in the database. And coming to user entity, here the only change that has come is many to one annotation. We'll be defining private role of type role. Now you can see how the tables are created. Here we have the T_role where ID, description, and name is there. And for the T_user, we have ID, email, and the most important thing is the role ID which comes here, which is a foreign key. And here, just try to understand, I am using hibernate.ddl auto equal to create. That's the reason why my tables are created from the code. Let us go to IntelliJ and start exploring what we have discussed till now. Now let us start with the role entity. Here we can see we have the one-to-many. The target entity is user.class and we are defining the private list, user and users. I'm having getter and setter for that. Now coming to the user entity, we will define private role, and here we'll have to write @many_to_one. That's what we had discussed before. We'll use the getters and setters. So we have the many-to-one role, and here we have one-to-many. And we'll be using the map by role. So let us now run the application and see what is happening. Open Postman. I'm already having the JSON object here. I'm creating a role of admin and two users as before, hello and hello world. So let us send the request. I'm getting a message, successfully created role and users. Let us check on the database. We have admin created here. But you can see the user is not getting populated here. So what we have to do is we'll go back. We can use Cascade type We have discussed this in the previous video. Let us go to Postman. We will send the query. You're getting the message successfully created. You're having admin. Here you will see that the users are created, but here the role ID you are finding it as null. So we have to find a solution for this. Here the solution is we can do add a join column role ID and see what is going to happen. You should get an error. We'll rectify the error. But let us see the error first. See the error, association marked as map by must not define database mappings like adjoin table or adjoin column. Here we can see that the solution is let us remove the map by, and then you should see the tables are updated correctly. The application is running fine. Let us go to Postman. We will send the request. We will see the message successfully created roles and users. Let us go back to the database and see the tables. We can see that the role is created properly, and here if everything is right we should see 2 users with the role ID as 1. So everything is working fine. Now let us talk about the read operation, which we did not discuss it before. Here we have the @get mapping, and as in delete mapping we are sending in the ID to get the particular role. So we are writing a method which returns a role and takes in a path variable of long ID. And here for the role repository you can find a method called findById, which returns a role. And now the same thing we are doing with the user controller. We are having the user repository method findById.get, which will return a user. And at get mapping you're using the get mapping annotation with the URI as described above. We'll be sending in the ID. Let us go to IntelliJ and see what is happening. I'll open the role controller. I'll write the method at get mapping. That's how I define the get mapping method. Public, return type is role. I'll use the @path variable, ID of type long. All I have to do is return role repository dot. You can see many finder methods here. You can use findById. Which will be returning optional role. Now to get the role you have to use the get method. I think you should get familiarized with using optional, because it gives you many methods like is present, which is very handy. Now the same thing we can do in the user controller. it's user repository dot find by id, send in the id dot get. So now everything should work fine. We should be able to retrieve the user and the role. Let us now rerun the application. I have the JSON object, admin, and 2 users. I am sending it. Created. We'll just check on it. We'll make doubly sure that everything is working. Role ID is populated. We have the two users here. Now let us try getting it. Wow. This is not something that we expected. Same thing is going to happen with role. Let us go back and rectify that. I'll show you the error first. You got too much. Stack Overflow error. Cannot call send error after the response has been committed. So what happens is, like, from here it picks up the role and the role picks up the user again. Same thing happens when we start with the role. Here it picks up the user and the user picks up the role again. So what we can do is, you can see the error here. The solution is, like, let us try adding JsonIgnore. This is one solution that we can use. Let us try it with role entity. Here I'll use JsonIgnore and try running the application. So this annotation ignores the property while reading and writing. Now let us run the application. Role and user is created. Now I'll go fetch it. What do you think? It's giving an error. Let us go back to IntelliJ and see what is happening. No such element exception, no value present. Here what is happening is, if you go to the database, see the tables, the role is populated correctly here, but when it comes to the user, it's not getting populated. As I told you before, it is like while reading and writing, it's not reading the property. So what we have to do is, we'll remove it, place it here. And now we'll try running the application. Everything should work fine. I'll send the request. Wow, I'm getting it here. Now everything is coming perfectly. Now coming back to the user thing. Here everything is coming perfectly. Since we are given JsonIgnore over there, I am not able to see what is the role associated with the user. So I should do something, at least I should get the name of the role. So what I'll do is, we'll come to the transient annotation. Let us get started with that and see how we can get the role name here. See, the problem is we are not able to see the role when we get the user entity. As I told you, I am just reading it out. I want to get the role name associated with the user. Solution is define a new role field, role name, and annotate it with a transient and write the getters and setters. Now here what I do is, I'll use the notation at transient, private string, role name. I'll write the getters and setters. Here, getting the get role name, I'm going to get role dot get name. So with this, you should get the role name associated with the user. What happens when we are using a transient? Will it get updated in the database? No. It will not create a field, it will not create a column in the table. Let's go run the application and check it out for ourselves. Successfully created. Now if I go to the get method, I can see the role name coming here and here. So everything is working fine. Now what I want is, I want to create a new user with the role name, user, description, a sample user. This is how our user entity is. We can define a user like this: first name, last name, mobile, email, and the role. We are having a user model like this, and user controller, it's an old method which we have written before in the first video of JPA. So we are calling create user, which is there in the user service. Here I have added users.set role, model.get role from here, and I am saving the user. This is one thing which I added. See, we are getting the error as before, like transient instance not saved. So the solution is, we'll go back to IntelliJ, we'll take the user. Now I think you should tell me the solution. Cascading. Cascade equal to, I'm using cascade type dot all. Let us go back, send the post method. This is working. We are getting the user, we are getting the role. Now I am creating a new user with a role definition. Created successfully. So let us go back and check on the database. Let us check on the database. We are having admin and a sample user. T underscore user, we are having 3, and this one is referring. The role ID is 2. So everything is working fine. Now here what I want is, I want to use the find all method to return all the users present in the database. I can use the get mapping. /user/all. It will return a list of user. Get users. I will make it users. No arguments. Return user repository dot find all. So that is returning a list of users. And same thing we'll do with the role controller. Public list role get roles return role repository dot find all. I think this should work. Send in the post method. Get. Everything is working fine. Here the new getters which I have written, user localhost 2003 user and all should return 3 users. No, sorry, 2 users. And here again it should return one role with 2 user. So we are getting it fine. Now coming to the user, the post one where we are creating the user with the role definition. Created successfully. Now go. Let us see, we will be getting 3 users. Getting 3 user. Here we will be getting 2 roles. The first role is having 2 users and the second role is having only 1 user. Now the takeaways are, we discussed one-to-many relations, which is bidirectional, the CRUD read operation and the transient annotation, and we discussed about find all methods and the find method, and now I am putting the source code in my GitHub repository, and from here we'll move on to one-to-one relations. Thank you.